2016, a new TV show hit the digital airwaves and needed a podcast dedicated to chronicling its adventures. An elite team has been assembled for this task. Unfortunately, the world's listeners have not heard of this wonder twin duo. And although they may not be known now, in the future they will be referred to as tomorrow's legends.
You ain't nothing but a crook, Harley, criming all the time. You ain't nothing but a crook, Harley, criming all the time. Well, you ain't never gonna catch me 'cause you're just too slow, that's right.
Thank you.
And now, here are your hosts, the fleet-footed Flash and his hammer-swinging partner, Harley Quinn.
Well, how did you like that little serenade?
Well, I was not sure if I should be flattered because you wrote a song for me, or if, I don't know, the words were a little interesting.
Well, welcome everybody to Legends of Tomorrow, Season 3, Episode 14, called Amazing Grace. I am the Elvis Flash.
And I'm Harley Quinn.
Oh, I love me some Elvis. How about you?
Yeah, I do. I enjoy Elvis. Who doesn't like the King?
Oh, man, yeah, if I could have been around for one era, it would have been back then during Elvis's heydays. So much more so than the Beatles. I'm not a fan of the Beatles, but Elvis definitely through and through.
Oh, see, I love the Beatles. I love the Beatles. I really like Elvis, but man, I love me some Beatles.
Fun fact about Elvis, did you know? Well, maybe funny fact, I guess you should say, kind of a joke. I remember hearing this one time that in all of the movies that Elvis did, he could never act. Like, his acting was so horrible that the producers just said, you know what? Screw it. Make him sing all his dialogue because he can't act. So it's like...
Oh my gosh.
It's like, hey Elvis, we gotta win this race. We gotta win this race. And, hey Elvis, you want some lemonade? Lemonade. That cool, refreshing drink.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. I didn't actually know that.
So funny, but... Anyway, guys, wow, it was an interesting episode, fun in parts, and then kind of what the heck kind of parts, and I mean we'll get into it, but it was kind of a little all over the place.
It was a little all over the place. Do you want me to just kind of jump into my initial impression? I don't have a ton to say, but should we kind of just roll right into it?
Before we forget, we got to say hi to Gideon.
Hello, legends.
There she is. Yeah, get into it. Let's see what your rating is.
All right. I gave this one 8. I bet you that sick bastard likes ska. Because I agree with Nate. A world without rock and roll is completely terrible.
Could you imagine?
I literally can't. I would die. I don't know what I would do if rock and roll did not exist. I wouldn't have anything to listen to. I mean, come on, guys.
Well, so many music styles or genres have basically been a pull from rock and roll. Exactly. They've changed it just a little bit to give it a different feel. So, yeah, without it, the world would be a very quiet and boring place.
It would. No rock, no country, no bluegrass. That's about the extent of my musical genres that I enjoy.
Yeah, but I mean, no heavy metal, no alternative rock, no easy listening, none of that kind of stuff. So
easy listening, I could take or leave, but if I don't have any like heavy rock, I don't know what I would do with my life.
All right. So, what did you like about this one?
Well, like I said, I've enjoyed this episode, but I didn't have the usual like pull or pizzazz or even a lot of the charm that we're used to. There was just something that was just kind of like, okay about it, I didn't like hate it, but I didn't love it either. So
yeah,
solid 8, I would say, for me. I think the big thing for this one, and I'm not going to say anything that's spoilery because I have watched the trailer and I have seen some of the promo pics and I am ridiculously excited for next week. And I think this is a fantastic setup episode for it.
Okay.
And yes, that's that. This is actually one of the things that I think for next week, actually having watched the trailer, I feel like would make you appreciate this episode a little bit more, maybe, but maybe not. I don't know.
And that doesn't ruin things for you, like knowing what's coming in that week. That just doesn't ruin things for you. Just take some of the luster off the surprise.
No, it makes me excited because I'm like, oh, yes.
Yeah, but what if it builds up your hopes and then it fizzles and doesn't live up to them? See, I don't know.
That doesn't actually usually happen. And half the time, I mean, there's a specific promo pic that is kind of stuck in my head. So, so I'm, pretty much not going to forget it. But sometimes I'll watch the trailer or see the promo at the end, and I straight up just like won't even remember until we're watching the episode. And I was like, oh yeah, right. I remember that, like that sort of thing. So they personally usually get me excited. There's only been a handful of times where a trailer has actually ruined my enjoyment of an episode, or maybe angry because it revealed like a giant plot twist that I, kind of assumed would happen, but maybe didn't really want that answer right away. So
right.
But back to this episode, I think like my favorite parts for sure were Nate and Zari just being snarky and being Nate and Zari. And then Ray's touching eulogy for Axel the rat. Rest in peace, Axel. I'm so sad.
Yeah, and we're going to talk at least a little bit about that scene coming up for sure, but it was definitely surprisingly sad.
I know. All right, well, I've talked enough more than I intended. So what did you rate this episode?
Well, just to finish off what we were talking about, I just can't watch trailers not for these shows. Like I love watching movie trailers and everything, but for TV episodes that where it's a lot of the story arcs go from week to week, I just hate knowing what's coming, because to me it takes an edge off the emotion and the surprise and the moments that come with it. And it's kind of the same reason that I don't take part in all the Facebook posting that everybody does. And I love that people are in there, and we've got a community growing and people love interacting, and a lot of people, that's the only place that they do interact. And I love that for our Legionnaires, but for me, I can't do it, because if I'm too busy looking down at a phone or a tablet and trying to type in my thoughts and keep up with what people are saying on Facebook, then I'm losing stuff in the episode. I'm missing key moments, I'm missing little emotions, I'm missing all these little nuances on the show, and completely takes me out of it, and then I can't enjoy the show. So if you guys are wondering why I'm never in there, that's why.
Yeah, I mean, I see. I like doing all that stuff. That gets me more engaged with the community, more involved, and it gets me more excited about not only the episode that I'm watching usually, but just about the show in general. So I like that sense of community and just different people to talk to about it and relate to about it and say, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened, all at the same time.
I know what you're really doing ultimately, Harley. You are the Joker's sidekick. You are just trying to fool everybody into a false sense of belonging with you. And
yes, that's right.
Pull a fast one on everyone. I know it.
Yes, it is my mission to take over the world. You heard it here first.
No, that's good. I'm glad you guys enjoyed doing that. For me, I'm going to give this one just a 7. 7 tears for Axel the Rat. And this definitely was a setup filler episode, and I even got that without even knowing what's coming next week. I understood that. I felt that. That's the entire episode just felt that way.
It did.
And it still surprised me that we get a filler episode when we have such a short season compared to the other Arrowverse shows. We don't need a filler episode. We don't really have the time to do that, in my opinion. Now, even though this episode was decent, there was nothing really wrong with it. It just didn't grab me with anything profound. In fact, the most emotion I felt was for Mick saying goodbye to Axel. And then also the jump scares with the ghosts. There was definitely a few creepy moments that spooked me on first watch, where good kind of ghost movie scares. And they made the ghosts look creepy as all heck. And yeah, so those are the two biggest emotions I felt, was creeped out and sad for Mick. the whole death totem really kind of threw me off. We've been diving in so deep into theories and guessing what could the sixth totem be. We had all these ideas about it's a person or it's a collection of them together. What can it be? And here they just tossed it at us nonchalantly in an unimpactful episode, hardly anything to it. So that kind of was actually a little bit of a letdown as a reveal, considering the mystery that they've built up over the last few episodes about the sixth totem. And I just felt like, God, that really did not live up to the hype of the totem.
It did, but it didn't. So that was probably the biggest thing this episode that actually caught me by surprise. Because as soon as the guitar started doing weird things, I was like, the guitar's the totem. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Because I wasn't expecting it. It was a complete surprise for me. I don't think it was in any of the trailers, but like I said, this was definitely one of the trailers I watched and quickly forgot. Right. So it may have been in the trailer, but yeah, the surprise of the fact that the death totem ended up being revealed in this episode, that was what was such a shock to me. And I think that's why it ended up working for me, and I ended up liking it a little bit more.
Okay. Well, like I said, there was nothing not to like. It just didn't have the I don't know, the gee whiz, the wow, that was cool. And like I said, they've been building up the mystery. You and me have been theorizing and hypothesizing and getting all crazy about what could it be. And it's just like, it's a death totem. Here it is. Like it just, I don't know. I think the episode could have been way more impactful and way more, hurrah, here it is. And so I was just a little bit let down, but that's okay.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone. And I think I do agree with you. This was filler / setup. I personally think it was more setup than filler, if that makes sense.
And that's only going on your foreknowledge of what's coming, so...
Yes and no. I've got some crazy theories that are not based in any of that.
Okay.
So, and I think maybe that's why I'm like starting to get excited, because like I had some theories and then I was kind of thinking about it and I was like, okay, well, what if this means this? I was like, well, that could be pretty cool. So I don't know. We'll just have to see how it works out next week. But I have a feeling next week's going to be really good.
Well, what do we have? Is it 17 episodes or are we doing 18? I can't remember.
We have 18 episodes. Okay, we have 4 episodes left.
4 episodes left. Okay. Well, they got a bit of time to wrap things up, so hopefully it'll be. I like the pace of the season. I like what they've been doing.
Yeah.
So that everything is kind of coming to a head at the right time, unlike Flash, where Flash has taken their whole season to tell us nothing. And yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true. I've actually haven't been minding the Flash. I've actually kind of been enjoying the ride. It's been kind of a slow burn, and I'm okay with that. But I know my husband is incredibly frustrated with the writing of the Flash, and we're both starting to get frustrated with Arrow.
Oh, are you? See, that's too bad. So I'm loving Arrow. I think Arrow's still leading the pack this season. But I find for the Flash, it's the entire season we've had 15 episodes in it so far, and only 3 have actually been good. The rest have been fizzled, died, bombed out, whatever, but only 3 have been good. 2 out of those 3 had nothing to do with the Thinker, which is a huge, chink in the story writing that this Thinker thing isn't working. The only episode I liked about the Thinker was the one that went back into the Thinker and his wife's past, and it showed their whole origin and how they got to where they are. That was a great episode. That gave the Thinker some depth and some humanism, basically.
Yeah, well, I think that's part of the point, is that we're supposed to see him at this point as not human, because I think he's kind of departed, that he's lost his humanity. Anyway, this is not the Flash podcast, so we should probably move on.
Jada and Julia, would you please invite me on as a guest? Because man, I want to dive into Flash stuff with you. I want to get. Oh yeah, I got a lot I got to get off my chest about it. So.
And can you bring me with him? Because for once, Harley needs to be the shining ray of positivity. What is wrong with you people?
Oh man! All right, well we got just a very quick news to report. Let's get into that first.
We interrupt this podcast for a special report.
All right, all we have to tell you guys is announce our winners of the contest. and it was a ladies' sweep. Congratulations, girls! Woohoo!
Congrats. Yay. It was fun. I enjoyed doing that.
Yeah. So for those of you that did not see the little video we posted on our Facebook page, Harley, who was the grand prize winner?
Karina.
Yay! And second place was Justina. And in third came Amanda. So way to go, ladies. You guys, I mean, you kind of outnumbered the one poor guy, Andrew. But,
I know.
It's funny how that worked out. So yeah, ladies sweep. First, second, and third. Way to go, guys. So we've been in touch with all of you. And we'll be getting our stuff ordered soon and send it out to you as soon as we can. So way to go, guys. All right, let's get into the show. You got a couple extra research, some Harley research again. What did you find this time?
I did. So I was curious because this was so heavily based around the story of Elvis, how much they got right and how much they got wrong. And then I also did a little bit of digging because I did not know who Robert Johnson was, and they name drop him in the very beginning of the episode. So I kind of wanted to do a little bit of research on him and find out who he was and how he connected to Elvis. So kind of what I found out was through these websites, which I've got links to both websites about Elvis and Robert Johnson on our blog post. Nate's history and most of what was used in the show is actually quite accurate. The uncle thing wasn't really, I mean, he definitely did have an uncle, but it was a completely different name. I don't know that he was a preacher. He may have been, but he wasn't, trying to stop his music career and all of those things, at least not that I could find. I didn't do a ton of heavy research, but it definitely felt like this was kind of a plot point for the story. So if I'm wrong, sorry about that. But I don't think I am because they changed the name of the uncle. So I'm guessing they made up the rest of it to go with it.
Well, unless they weren't allowed to use it. Maybe he said, no, I don't want you to use me in the story. So who knows? That
is true. That could have happened. Yeah, that could have been, the wish of the family, perhaps.
One thing I was curious, though, did you look up the idea of his twin brother? Is that something that's for sure?
That is true.
Yeah, okay. So
that is.
That about Elvis. Cool.
Yeah, no, and that was actually one of the things I did know. But yeah, no, he had a twin brother. His name was Jesse. And he, basically when they were born, one was alive and one wasn't. Right. So kind of sad, but he never knew his brother. He never even technically met him. And, I guess in theory they met in utero, but once they were born, he was already gone.
Yeah,
sadly.
But there's something funny about twins. Twins have this crazy connection.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I've heard a lot of weird paranormal kind of stories of twins that didn't survive birth or were gone soon after birth, and yet the living one still feels them and still, I guess, sometimes communicates with them. It's crazy. It's a really neat phenomenon, and I really like that part of the story for sure.
Yeah, I did too. I actually thought it worked really well, and I thought it tied in well with the death totem theme, which was cool. Mm-hmm. The other thing that actually ended up fitting in well was this guitar. So they said that the guitar, and I don't know if it was a pawn shop or a guitar shop, but they basically said it was Robert Johnson's guitar.
Right.
And I was wondering, well, who's Robert Johnson? Because I don't know who that is. And so as it turns out, there's not a lot that was known about him. He died very young. He was a former slave. He was a wizard with the guitar. And according to the legend, he had a bargain with the devil. Like he basically sold his soul to the devil to gain his guitar skills. So that kind of fit in well with the death totem being affixed to the guitar and the guitar being cursed. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool.
So, but it is all according to legend. So there's not really much known about this guy, but it's pretty interesting.
Hey, if it's according to legend, that makes sense because we are talking about a legend. Elvis is a legend. Come on. So
on Legends of Tomorrow, it fits in.
Everything works.
All right.
Well, let's get out of the way. What I think was the most emotional part of the episode was poor little Axel the rat.
I know. It's sad. I mean, it's good, but it's sad when the best parts of the episode are about a rat funeral.
Yeah, and I mean, what I found is that it came out of nowhere because who expected that they would do that and even show the poor little guy his demise. It was surprisingly upsetting, and I think
I
seeing
know.
Mick have such emotion about it is what really made it stick out. And you're like, wow, like because I mean, a lot of us out there, we all have pets. It doesn't matter dog, cat, bird, and rats. I've had rats before myself, and rats are like little mini cats. They're super intelligent and they're very loyal and they bond to you. So I understood that part of Mick, that Mick had a friend in this little guy, and yeah, it was pretty upsetting.
I know it was pretty upsetting. I don't know because they did like a little tribute to him at the very end. So I don't know if like the actual rat that played Axel died and that's why they did that, or it was very interesting. Like you said, it kind of came out of left field. I wasn't expecting it. And then there was a tribute, a very amusing tribute
What do you
at
mean
the
at
very end.
like in the credits at the end?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
You didn't
Okay,
see
I
it?
didn't know. I don't get credits on the way I watch it. So what did they say?
Oh. It was like a little tribute. You know how like sometimes when actors pass, they do like an in memoriam at the very end and they show the picture and they said in loving memory of so and so.
Yeah.
That's what they did. And then they had a couple little clips of Axel. They had, Rory getting him at the Christmas party, and they had him chasing Ray that Ray alludes to in the episode. And it was
Oh.
cute. You should Google it. I'm sure you can find it. It's not very long,
Oh
but
man, yeah, that would have been
yeah,
cute to see.
it was worth the watch. So give it if you guys didn't see it, give it a little Google. That's pretty funny. If I remember, I'll try to find it and stick it in the Facebook group.
Yeah, and send me a link for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't, I mean, I had just a couple other, quick comments other than that we weren't expecting it. Sarah's comment, it absolutely cracked me up that she said, I drink when I mourn because it was so in character.
Yeah.
And I just loved it. And I thought it was perfect. It fit for her. It fit for Rory. It was great.
Of course, and it was just cool that Ray asked the captain to be there because yeah, the rat died on her ship that she's in charge of. So yeah, it just made sense.
I know. And his eulogy was so sweet. It kind of like almost brought a tear to my eye. Definitely brought a tear to Mick's eye.
It definitely did. Mick was crying, and but I mean, of course, Ray, Mr. Super Nice and Thoughtful, what a guy, what a friend. I think he realized that he maybe was a little insensitive earlier when they found little Axel, and he was trying to make up for it. So
I think so too. I mean, you could tell that Mick was really upset, which I wasn't expecting, but because the death doesn't come until like halfway through the episode, so I wasn't really expecting it. I figured he would just kind of be chasing his rat all around the ship and then he would find him. And then that happened. And I was literally shocked that they killed the rat. I was like, what?
Yeah. Well, and
what is happening?
Where did he find him? I thought it was in the mess hall, like the kitchen where he found him, but yet there's a little green vial of chemical that he got into. I'm like, well, what's that doing in the kitchen? Or were they actually in one of the labs?
I thought they were in the kitchen too, so I don't know what it was or what he ate, but Mick was unhappy just with changes in general this entire episode.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that point up because I'm going to use that later. Yeah, because I think once or twice earlier before that he had kind of complained like there's too many changes going on and he doesn't like that. So he likes to kind of keep things status quo, keep them as they are. And yeah, so he really struggles with a lot of that. So I think that was probably one of the most heartbreaking lines after they said goodbye to Axel, because he's like, as if this ship needs any more changes or something like that. I can't remember what he said.
I know. It was something very similar to that, and it was very sad. And I think that's when Ray realized how much he was affected by it and decided to throw him a funeral, of course. Who throws a rat a funeral?
Who throws a rat a funeral? But even the moment when the little rat was a ghost, and it came to say goodbye to Mick, their little farewell. Like Mick offers him up his last sandwich, and he does little ghost rat kind of came to say goodbye and go back to his box, back to his body. And I was like, oh my god, how can they make this so emotional about a little rat? Holy, okay, yeah.
I know, so sad. Oh, it was good though. Like I said, I normally love the writers of these episodes, but I think it is not a good sign when the best part of your episode is
Well,
the death of the rat.
exactly. That's the thing. Like the most emotions you're feeling is because of that.
The rat died.
When the
Yeah.
whole episode is involved around other stuff. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to our next point. What do we got next?
All right. So we're gonna jump into the main storyline here. So. We already kind of talked about Robert Johnson in the opening. The only other thing that I personally want to say about the opening is that it really felt like a Harry Potter moment. So like when Elvis was picking his guitar, I was just picturing like wand boxes flying off the shelves. And I loved that. So
yeah, no, that was cool info that you found out. Research your Harley, you're digging deep again. So it was cool info. I think I noticed. I don't know if everybody else knows, but the show opens with Memphis 1950, and then later on Sarah says it's 1954 when it became a ghost town. So 4 years have actually passed since we saw Elvis buy that guitar, and for the anachronisms to start taking effect. So there's a 4-year span there of
That's
Elvis, I guess, learning his music, playing his music, causing things to slowly happen, and the anachronisms, I guess, slowly building up because they don't go there until 1954.
right. Oh yeah, I don't think I quite caught on to that. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So they were just kind of giving us a little prelude, just being like, and you know what? That makes more sense. So he's had 4 years to bond with the totem.
With the guitar and the totem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes way more sense because in my head, I'm like, he's not had that very long. Like, I get that they're trying to say that there was a strong connection because of his brother, and we will talk about this a little bit more, but I wasn't sort of buying that he bonded with the totem quite that fast. So that was good. I'm glad you put that in there. That sort of cleared a few things up for me.
And then what I really like, though, is that when all the little anachronisms started happening, the ones that were happening on our ship that our team started noticing were so funny. Like the little changes that were right under their noses. Like Trombone Hero. Like, come on. Like there's ever going to be a video game called Trombone Hero.
That is a travesty right there. If there's no Guitar Hero, then my college life would like literally have disappeared. It's sad.
Well, I mean, even though I played trombone in school, but I just found that funny.
Really?
And then Josh Groban the rat, and Mick doesn't even know who Josh Groban is, so that was hilarious. And then Nate's hair. I don't know if you noticed the scene, like when him and Amaya first entered the bridge, his hair is all spiked up as usual. The camera pans to Sarah, and she says, "Nate, what happened to your hair?" And it pans back to him, and it's all combed to the side with a part. I was like, whoa, that was a quick change right in front of everybody. So that was really cool.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I think the reaction over Nate's hair was one of my favorite things, just because they always make points about his hair, and he's just so particular about it. Yeah, exactly. And so I found it very amusing that his hair was a plot point, basically.
And I've said to Patty Spivot here a couple times, I'm like, I'm so jealous of his hair, because he actually does have great hair.
He really does have great hair.
Jeez, yeah.
I mean, he does. He's got some great hair, I will say. Okay, so kind of the next point I have, and so I've got some theories we're gonna throw out, and I'm just fair warning, we're gonna start in the beginning and we're gonna jump to the end, and then we're gonna go back to everything in between. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Hanging on tight.
So, okay, you should. So, the beginning of the episode, the legends basically determine, quote unquote, that the Darks are behind the death of rock and roll, but they don't really ever make an appearance. They're not ever there, and the legends don't really mention them again. They sort of do, but I just thought that it was a little bit weird that they assume that the Darks are doing it, and then we never see them, and then I guess they assume the legends kind of think that they're getting in front of them. So yeah. I have two questions about this, and then I have theories. Okay. So let me start with the questions first, and then I'll let you answer, and then I'll go into my theories. Okay, so the first question is, did the Darks truly cause the anachronism? And the second question is, did they plant the death totem knowing that it would cause an anachronism and then the legends would recover it?
You want me to answer that one right now?
You can, or I can, or if you want me to give my answer and then you can give your answer, that's up to you.
Well, first off, like I was wondering about that beginning part as well. Because they did, like you said, determine the darks are behind the death rock and roll, but I don't know if they actually concluded that. To me, after the second watch, I kind of felt they were guessing, and
I think they were assuming, but it wasn't actually, may not have been the case. I don't know. I've got a theory, but we'll just...
No, and this is... So, I mean, to answer your first question, like I'm inclined to believe that they actually had nothing to do with it. I'm thinking that the totem has just been hidden all this time and no one knew what it was.
Okay.
Is kind of my feeling. Is that... Because what other totem... Was not one of the other totems also kind of hidden and undiscovered? Am I getting that wrong?
No, the Earth totem no one really knew where it was.
Yeah, so that's what I'm kind of feeling about this one too. Isn't it? Yeah. Oh yeah. The Earth totem was the buried treasure of Blackbeard, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think this one is just kind of along the same lines. No one had discovered it yet, and until someone found it and kind of empowered it or turned it on, so to speak, then they start to find out where it is. Then they get the signal that it's out there. I think it's just been hidden all this time. That's my inclination. So. What do you think?
I have a crazy theory, just forewarning everybody. So I'm going to go with they did have something to do with it. So let's say that they actually wanted the legends to recover the death totem and bring it on board the Waverider, because what they know is that they know Sarah is actually susceptible to Mollis. And the death totem accesses the spirit world. Mm-hmm. So my theory is that they've intentionally put those two together. I don't know if planted is the right word or not, but maybe they just didn't recover the death totem, and knowing that it would cause an anachronism, and then the legends have to recover it. And then it comes on board the Waverider, and because because it can channel or access the spirit world, I think that's going to give Mollis a foothold onto the Waverider. Because remember, we've previously said, why don't they just use the time stones and go onto the Waverider? And I've postulated that it's because they're in the temporal zone, and that's why they can't do that. Yes. So I think this is their way into the Waverider. It's their back door.
See, I wonder how much of your theory ties into the way the episode ended with the box that Ray created jumping around.
That is exactly what gave me this idea. If they had not put that scene at the end, I would probably not have put these things together.
So, I mean, that's very plausible. That's a great idea. I just... I'd like to think if the Darks had anything to do with it, they would have shown them somehow on the show doing something, somehow, some way along those lines to connect it for us, the viewers. Because if they did set this all up, I think it's kind of poor writing to leave them out and then have it explained in another episode. Oh, by the way, we did that. I don't know. I like the idea, but I don't know if I feel it enough to buy into it.
That's fair. Everybody's got their crazy theories.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't buying your Sarah as a totem theory, but that's okay.
Obviously. Well, speaking of, that was the one thing I forgot to say in my opening monologue. Right off the bat, when they showed the totem, I was like, there goes all my theories right out the window.
There went pretty much everyone's theories right out the window, because I think everybody had a crazy theory about it. And I don't think any single person actually thought it was an actual sixth totem. Someone thought it, is the combination of the 5 or a person, or I don't know, just something way crazier than what it turned out to be. Although at some point, didn't someone, maybe it was you, but didn't someone, or maybe it was Jeff, postulate that the sixth totem would be death?
It wasn't me. I don't recall anybody ever bringing
I
that
thought
up
I saw
yet.
it on one of the Facebook live chats we were doing. I mean, this was several episodes ago, when they were
Maybe.
introducing the idea of the sixth totem, that someone said it was death. So whoever did, write in and let me know, first of all, and second of all, kudos to you, because that's exactly what it was.
Yes.
All right. Well, would you like to talk about the death totem a little bit?
Yeah, fill me in a little bit, because it seems like you have a better understanding of it than I was able to. I was a little bit confused by everything going on with it, how to connect all the dots, even after the second
Sure.
watch. So kind of, let me see if you can clear it up, because things weren't quite clicking for me in that sense-making department.
No worries. So the thing, oh, you know what? They did. Remember how there was a screen cap in the beginning, and they said that they went to visit Constantine, and he kind of filled them in on what the sixth. I guess he filled them in on what the sixth totem was.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Like he actually knew, or maybe he did some research. But the little blurb that they put up on the screen that disappears in like 1 second is all on the Arrow wiki page. So if anybody was curious as to what that blurb said, I put it in the blog post. But it basically says like what Amaya says. It was, the death totem was basically given to a lost tribe of Zambeze. Nobody really knows what happens to them, and nobody even really knew about the death totem. And so it is all connected back to Zambezi. The only one we're having trouble trying to figure out how it connects back is the air totem, because Zari has it.
Right.
And we're still not really sure how she connects back to Zambezi, because everything else has been so interconnected with Amaya's tribe and Amaya's family. And this one is too, but the air one is definitely not exactly. So I'm still curious about that.
Right. Well, because I think just to further explain it, like when I looked at this post, it said there originally was 6 tribes of Zambezi. Each one of them got one of the totems to help protect themselves. The tribe that got the death totem disappeared, vanished with no trace. They were never to be found again. So as time went through, history forgot about them. Nobody, and that's why nobody knows about this 6th tribe, and nobody knew about the death totem, because accounts of it were lost.
It just all disappeared.
Yeah, and like you said, so with Zari and how she has the air totem when she's clearly not related to Amaya at all, again, it's still, we don't know where that link is.
Yeah, and so I'm curious about that. But one of the other things that we've learned from Amaya is that she's able to connect to her ancestors. And in order to do this, she has to drink that special tea and go on a spirit walk or whatever she does when she goes to the world between worlds. And that's how she connects to her ancestor. And so that sort of gave me not like gave me the idea, but I think that helped explained Elvis's bond with the guitar. So once we figure out that it's the death totem and kind of a little bit of how it works, it basically allows him to connect with the spirit world and command those spirits. So he's able to bond with it because he already has, this kind of bond with his dead brother. And so when he came nearer to the totem, it kind of like reached out to him because he could feel that he already maybe had a stronger link to the spirit world. And so that bond formed kind of like instantly, because we saw it in the guitar shop when he starts playing the guitar and everything goes crazy. And the guy's like, just take the guitar, just get it out of here. Like, I'm done with this. And then apparently he has the next 4 years to kind of connect with his music and with his brother and have that feeling of him being there and kind of solidify that bond. So once Amaya is saying, he's like, oh, it sounds crazy that a guitar would allow me to feel closer to my ancestors. And she says, no, it's not, because her totem works the same way.
Right. That's a good way. I think
Does that help?
Yeah, you did really good explaining all of that. And what I really liked too is that Elvis didn't seem scared at all. Like he seemed to understand what the ghost needed. Especially that one scene where the one ghost comes right up to him and he just looks at him and then nods. He says all they need is acknowledgement.
Yes.
And off they go. Like, he had no fear at all. And I kind of like that just because Elvis is so cool as is. But to show him be this fearless kind of guy as well, I thought it was just a nice little touch to the Elvis legend.
Yeah, I liked that. I liked the way that they kind of worked the lore into it. It went really well. It felt like something he would do.
Now, what did you think of the guy they chose to play Elvis? Did you like him? Do you think he played the role well? Did he look like him? What'd you think?
You're getting into my nitpick a little bit.
Oh, am I? Okay, well, we'll save it then.
Not too bad. Because the thing that I liked the actor. I liked the casting. I thought it was decent. I liked what he did with the role. I felt like he had a good presence and he carried himself well. And I liked what he did with it. But there are parts that I didn't like. So, but that is my nitpick. So I'll leave. I'll say that, and I'll leave the parts I didn't like out.
Yeah. Well, I think he did okay. Like he had the look. His performance was all right. Like as an actor, he did okay. And I'll save a few points for your nitpick, but it was kind of funny because I was like, yeah, they did good. It looks like it. But then Patty Spivot beside me, she goes, yeah, he looks more like Richie Valens to me. And then I couldn't stop thinking about that. I'm like, oh yeah, la 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 bum bum. I'm like, yep, okay, he looks more like that guy. So I don't know. But
I wonder if he was ever in a production of Jersey Boys. Maybe not.
Who knows? All right, where are we going to go next?
Well, let's just kind of close out this last little bit about Elvis.
Okay.
And you had started to kind of talk about it where he's actually able to command the spirits. So once they figure out that his record has apparently been given some magical powers to raise the dead, regardless of who plays the song, the ghosts and the dead start rising all over town. So they have to kind of figure out how to combat that. And as it turns out, he can't just like call out to the dead. He can also kind of command them and not like use them, but he can kind of put them at ease or put them back to rest or whatever. So he can bring them up and they can, I don't know if it's doing his bidding per se, but they kind of like fly around and do their thing, and then he can kind of commune with them and they'll listen to him and he can put them at ease and back to rest, I guess. I don't know. That's kind of, it seemed kind of like he's the Pied Piper of ghosts.
Well, and that's because he's wielding the death totem on his guitar. So I think the same effect would happen to anyone if the death totem was on a broom and the janitor sweeping the floor. He could probably tell the ghost what to do. You know what I mean? So
right, as long as they can bond with it.
Yeah. So I think that's what was going on there. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was funny because it was musically related and it felt like the Pied Piper of ghosts. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot of other stuff. I mean, those were kind of the main points surrounding Elvis. I mean, the story was good. It was mostly historically accurate. There wasn't just a ton of stuff to dig into. Did you have anything else with the storyline that you wanted to bring up?
Well, I think if anything, I just like that they went back to more before Elvis was the king. Because, I mean, everybody knows Elvis as the sparkly outfit wearing, superstar. I like that they went farther back into his history and how, at a time when whites and blacks were still struggling to get along, and Elvis was one of the spearheaders that really just wanted everybody to get together and get along. And he was, he learned his music from the black community. He had that soul, and they accepted him in. And I just like that they showed that part of his history, that he was one of the ones that helped bridge the gap and get people to accept each other. And so that was cool.
Yeah, I liked that. He had a particularly good line when he said to his uncle, you're spewing hate. I'm just trying to bring people together.
Exactly.
So I liked that. It was good.
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about Zari and Wally because I thought they had some good scenes together, and I kind of liked what they did with this.
Sure.
So, first of all, the first thing they did is they called out how annoying and problematic for the writers that introducing a speedster can be. why do you need to wait when Wally can do it now?
Yeah.
So I like that they basically had him do that. He's like, oh, I can do that. I can do that, and he would zip off and he would come back with the guitar, or he would zip off and, do whatever else he did.
Yeah,
The
he's
beat
kind of
all of.
showing off a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, oh, I can do that. He's like, I can be a part of this team. And so it made sense. And I liked how we have a more like wizened Zari, because she's snarky enough to basically call him out for being really annoying with his speed. But now, after having spent endless amounts of time in a time loop, she is wise enough to explain why he should take a minute, just slow down, and kind of work at the Legends pace for a little bit, because you don't need to accomplish everything with your speed. Sometimes you just need to connect to people.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. It was really cool seeing her kind of come around like that. And I'm glad she was snarky about it, because I'm still not fond of Wally. I don't know what it is. It's something about him. It's the actor, I think, and I just it's. I'm starting to feel why he didn't work on The Flash. I don't know if he's going to work on any show. I think it's his acting ability, because he's not seasoned enough to hang with all the other great performers. All of our other actors are so into their roles and so comfortable that it feels like they are those characters, and he just seems like he's stiff and trying too hard, and almost like he's trying to show off with his powers. He's also trying too hard to fit in, and he just needs to settle in. And I don't know, to me it stands out, and it's a little bit annoying, so I haven't really grown fond of him yet. And this just really isn't my Wally. It's not the Wally that I wanted when they first announced him joining the Flash. I wanted the younger version, like Kid Flash Wally, not Wally that's 2 years younger than Flash, because Kid Flash in the comic books is quite a few years younger. He actually is a kid. That's why the name Kid Flash. That was the Wally I was hoping for Barry to be able to mentor, not this fully grown 20-something ready to, I don't know. Yeah, so unless they've got to figure something out with him, or I'm going to want him off our show as well, because right now I'm really 50-50 on him.
Oh, see, I actually thought he was actually working for me this episode. I really liked the fact that they called out the fact that he's a speedster and that it's annoying and that sometimes you don't always need to use your speed. So I think that was a smart play, because now they've kind of set that up and set that precedent. So it's not always like, well, you have a speedster, so what's the whole point of this episode when Wally can do it in 30 seconds? Yeah. So they've kind of brought about the point already of, yes, even if Wally can do it very, very quickly, it may not be the best course of action. So I thought that was important to set up front, and I like that they did that. But I mean, I don't mind him. I actually liked him this episode. I liked his little speech with the Reverend. I thought it was very mature. Like, he had kind of a grown-up scene, which is something you've been asking for.
Yeah, they gave me that, but I just his acting is so subpar. It just didn't engage me. I don't know. I wasn't impressed. I liked Zari's parts in this. Like you were saying, she's teaching him a thing or two. I like that she's figured some stuff out for herself and starting to understand consequences with dealing with time travel. So I loved her half of it so much more than I was just kind of struggling with Wally.
See, I liked him. I liked them both. I mean, and the point of his story I also liked, because it just gave us another reason of why Wally was leaving the Flash. And I liked that. I mean, he said he was having trouble. Like, he never felt like, not only that he didn't fit on the team, his girlfriend broke up with him and moved to another Earth, but he wasn't really fitting into Joe's life either, because they came to each other's lives so late. He just didn't know how to relate to him, and Wally just always felt out of place. So I liked that they're trying to still give us that closure and that explanation of why he needed to kind of go out on his own and leave. For me, it's working. I'm actually enjoying Wally on the Legends. I'd like to see him get something a little bit more to do, but okay. It's working for me so far. I think you don't like the actor, and what's funny is your comments. You had very similar comments about Sarah Lance in Arrow season 2.
Yeah, and she's grown on me since she came to Legends. So,
yep, I know.
I don't think Wally's gonna be on that same kind of path. I don't know. I don't know. It's like I said, it's half the actor and it's half that I don't like this version of Wally. I wanted Wally the
Yeah.
kid. So
Yeah.
I never really accepted him on Flash because I'm just like, no, that is not Wally West. Even in the comics, the older versions of it, when Wally was a white guy with curly red hair and freckles, he was a kid. In the New 52, when they switched it to an African American family for Iris and Wally and all that, even Wally then was still a young kid. So I just don't understand why they casted him so old, and I never accepted it. And I don't know if he's going to grow on me.
He may not, because
Maybe not.
I think you're just gonna have issues with him in general.
Unless something really special happens. We'll have to see.
All right. Well, that's all I've got for this episode. There's not a whole lot to dig into, although we have managed to talk for almost an hour at this point. But
yeah, we're sitting at 50 minutes. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, there wasn't a deep episode. There were some shocking reveals. They answered some questions that surprised us, but also wasn't really impactful. And the episode just wasn't deep. It wasn't a lot of. It's like I'm saying filler. You're saying setup.
Yep,
that's what we got. So we don't have a ton of things to talk about up to this point in the story. So let's move on to our nitpicks then.
Sounds good.
Form of water.
Well, we kind of touched on yours, so let's finish off the rest that you had.
All right. The bit I didn't like about the actor playing Elvis was the lip syncing was so obvious. Oh, Lord.
Oh, man.
I would have rather had an actor impersonating Elvis than just dubbing him in. There's nothing against the actor. Like I said, I actually enjoyed his performance. I liked him as an actor, but when it came to the lip syncing, it was so terrible.
Yeah, they could have just had someone that sounded close to Elvis, close enough, and just have him actually sing the lines.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like Elvis. He couldn't act, so let him sing all his dialogue. Well, let these guys sing their dialogue. Like, it was cool that they used actual Elvis sound clips. Like, I'm surprised they got the rights to do that, to actually use his recordings. But you're right. They just didn't match it very well at all. I mean, they didn't even make it look like it was coming from him. Like you're watching the actor mouth the words, and the sound sounded like it was coming from the background or off to the side. It didn't even sound like it was coming from his mouth, and it just really took you out of the singing moments. I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, they really did a bad job there.
Yeah, it wasn't stellar. And maybe I'm spoiled because so many of our Arrowverse actors are singers and actually perform
like the Flash
on
cast.
The shows. Yeah. Like the Flash cast, like Victor Garber, like Brandon Routh. I mean,
Supergirl,
even Wally and Rip. I mean, they are all Broadway performers in their own rights. So, well, I don't know about Wally. I don't know if Keenan has been on Broadway, but Arthur Darvill has definitely been doing, I don't know, he's been doing some stuff on the West End in London. So, cool. Yeah, they can all sing. Anyway, what was your nitpick?
You know, as much as this episode wasn't flashbang crazy good, there still wasn't really a lot to nitpick about. And I think for me, it was just kind of the lack of explanation about the death totem and how it got there. Kind of left us wondering HTF, as in how so that's the part that kind of bugged me. We didn't get enough explanation, so I don't know if more is going to come or not. I doubt it. And then, like I said, having a filler type episode that should have more impact at this point of the season also kind of bugged me. I'm like, no, come on, with only 4 episodes left, we don't have time for a filler. Give us some good stuff. So that kind of bugged me that we actually got one like this.
Yeah, I was surprised that it was filler. I don't know. That's why I'm kind of going with that it's going to be set up, because that makes me, just using the different word, I mean, they're the same type of episode, but it just makes me feel better because it makes it feel as if there's more of a purpose, as opposed to a filler episode, which is truly does nothing to further the plot, which, as much as we loved it, the Zari episode was the epitome of a filler bottle episode. I mean, filler episode, bottle episode, it didn't further the plot. We got tons of character development, and I loved that episode. Don't get me wrong. It was so great.
Yeah.
But that's a true filler.
But like you just said, though, where a filler episode works is if there is character development. You might not be progressing the plot, but you're progressing the characters and their personal stories, which to me is still furthering the overall story. Whereas if nothing happened and there was no progression on either side, then it would be, like completely like, oh, what a waste this one, which we've had on Arrow and The Flash because they both go 24 episodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into our quotes of the week, Harley. I think we got some more fun stuff we can fill in this episode with. How's that?
Yay.
All right, here we go.
Shape out an eagle!
Okay, I'm curious. After we were so happy with getting so many votes last week, did we get another week of high voting numbers?
We got some pretty good voting numbers. I don't think they were higher than last week, though. But we got probably, I don't know, anywhere from maybe like 10 to 15-ish people, which is, I think, about what we had the week before. Okay.
Well, I know you guys can bring that way up because we've got close to 300 members now on the Facebook page. So you guys can get on it. Come on. I would love to see a vote count hit the 50s as our first goal. And after that, I want to see it hit the hundreds. So let's work on that. We're challenging you guys to get some serious voting going on there. So, winner of last week was a tie? Are you serious?
It was, at least when I looked. Do you want me to look again and see if it's not? The quotes are self-throttling and profiling.
All right, here is profiling.
Sweetie, you think it's too early for me to, get back out there? I mean, how long should I mourn your mother?
It's been 23 years on my end, Dad. I say go for it.
Thank you. Trouble is, I haven't had a single match yet. I think this thing is broken.
If I may, you might have more luck if you talk about your hobbies.
I just said that I enjoy destroying the world to remake it in my image. Oh, I like trying new restaurants.
Also, your profile says you're 199 years old.
Yeah, it wouldn't go any higher. Can you fix that?
Oh, Damien.
You know what? Both quotes are his. The two that tied for the win are both his, and that's great because it was his episode and he really shined. It's funny. So here's self-throttling.
An even exchange. Her life for the scientist. I am gonna kick my ass.
It still cracks me up. Love it. All right. What do you have for this week?
All right. The first quote this week is didn't use cheat codes.
Wait, who beat all my high scores?
Oh, you see, the thing with Miss Pac-Man is you gotta just ignore the fruit. All the points come from taking down the ghosts.
Yeah, I know that, but nobody could beat these scores without lightning fast fingers. You better not have messed with Guitar Hero. It's Trombone Hero.
I'm not gonna lie, I had a hard time with quotes this week.
Yeah, this episode was tough to pull anything out of. So, but
yeah.
All right, what's your number 2?
It's called Suit Up.
What? Why are you staring at me?
Waiting for you to do the thing you do.
What thing?
You usually send us into the field with a little more pizzazz.
All right, legends, put on your Sunday best because we are going to church.
It's pretty good.
Amen.
I think my favorite part is Ray's Amen.
Amen. Well, it's kind of funny that it's a musical episode based around Elvis. And I think it was Nate that said, what was that line in the very beginning there? Do that thing you do? Because that's also a very, I think that was a movie.
It was a movie.
About a rock band or something, yeah. So.
Yep. You.
Kind of funny. All right, what's number 3?
That thing you do. The Rise of Axel.
Here it is.
Axel lives.
You just had to throw a rodent funeral, didn't you?
The look on Ray's face is priceless, which you can't see in the quote, obviously. But he's like, what? How is this my fault?
So funny. All right, what's your last one?
Fourth and totem.
Think of it like this. We're 4 totems up in the 4th quarter. Time is running out for those idiots.
Like I said, it was a little bit of a struggle this
Yeah, a bit of a rough week, but you know what? I don't mind. They're okay. I don't mind that. Don't use cheat codes. I think that's my favorite out of those 4. We'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I'm the first 2. I'm kind of tied on. But all right, well, let's move on to more serious scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Who was our winner last week?
It was Shrink Under Duress.
Look, I'm not keeping you alive for my health. Speak! Oh.
If you really care that much about Nora, then maybe you shouldn't let her be a conduit for a primordial evil.
I admit this isn't the life that I wanted for her, but world domination was supposed to be my gift to her, not her career path.
Then maybe you should tell her how you feel. She's under a lot of pressure, you know, and it's all to impress you.
Me? I am so proud of Nora. Obviously, she knows that.
She only knows what you say to her, Damien. Can I call you Damien?
I do enjoy that ending. Can I call you Damien?
Just great. All right. Well, this week, again, like you, it was tough to find some moments. So let's see what we think of these 4. The first one I have is called Music Moment.
It's okay. I just don't see how it's worth risking the most volatile of totems for.
Wow, I thought it was going to be our music moment.
Our music moment.
One of those times where the right song comes on and ties everything together so perfectly that it becomes a story.
We already have plenty of stories. We saved the world together. We saw dinosaurs. There was that time that I discovered Netflix and we watched every episode of Friends in 1 week.
All stunning accomplishments, yes. But the music moment's different. You'll see.
See, that
was
one,
cute.
It's a cute moment. It's just Nate being romantic and looking for something special for him and Amaya to share. And I like the idea of the music moment because I often I bug Patty Spout about that. I'm like, we don't have our music moment yet. You know, you're looking for that song, that one song that every couple has that, like Nate explained, it's that moment that you remember and you build the story around. So, Patty, if you're listening, we're still looking for ours too.
Cool. Well, then what did you choose for the second one?
Second one is Zari Wisens Up.
Despite everything you've seen, I really think my powers could come in handy right now because I could just go grab that record and then
Okay, if this were a Central City bank robbery, sure, you could just speed in, save the day, the mayor would give you a key to the city.
That actually happened, you know. Barry and I, we saw
History is different. You can't be a chainsaw. You need to be a scalpel. You need to get in there, talk to people, find out what they really need. Now, let's go talk to the preacher like human beings.
See?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes, and we talked about that. That's Zari getting smarter.
Yes.
Or wiser.
All right, what is the third scene?
Gruesome discovery.
Oh.
Okay, Axel. I know how to draw you out. With a nice little snack.
Mick, don't panic. You just forgot to chew again.
Axel, is this one of your stupid science experiments?
Looks like Josh Groban.
Axel!
And something even more lethal than your Elvis sandwich. I'm sorry, buddy. Look, the life expectancy of a rat is 1.5 to 2.5 years, so, you know, the little guy really beat the odds. And you know what? We can pick you up another one in the next time period we stop in.
Because what's one more change on this ship?
Oh, that was the moment I was talking about.
Yeah.
Mick's really struggling.
I know. That was a good scene. I mean, it is actually funny. I was kind of assuming you would pick it as a scene, so I did not pick out the part where he's choking because it actually is pretty funny. Mick, you just forgot to swallow again.
Yeah, exactly.
But the way that it ends, I was like, oh, it's so sad.
I know. It's just Mick's really showing some emotion there.
Well, what's our last scene?
Last one is called Life is Short.
Better make yourself comfortable. Something tells me you'll be spending a lot more time in here, especially after that show you just put on.
Something came over me, I guess. I was up there looking at those ghosts. I realized one day this is all gonna be over for all of us. Might as well get the most out of life that we can.
You know what? I think you just discovered the spirit of rock and roll.
That one I loved because that's how I view life. Life is short. Get out there, enjoy it. Quit worrying about stuff. Quit stressing. Nothing is worth it if you actually step out and think about it. Just go enjoy life. We're here to love it and have fun. So that's why that line actually meant a lot to me.
That's a good one. I did really enjoy that line, actually.
Yeah. All right, that takes us to feedback.
Feedback.
I should do that in my Elvis voice, eh?
Oh, dear.
Here it is.
Planetary powers, activate!
Got a little feedback. All right, the first one we have is an email from Arc Phase. And he says, "Greetings, Wonder Twins. We finally got to see the final totem, the Death Totem. It was cool to see the effects of the Death Totem in action with the King of Rock bringing the undead back to life and then sending them away. Just comes to show you the power of rock and roll."
That's right.
Thought it was kind of weird that the salesman of the guitar would display the cursed guitar if he wasn't intending to sell it, as shown from his initial hesitation to sell to Elvis. Yeah, that's kind of a good point. Arcphase was telling me that at work the other day. I was like, I don't know how to counter that. Yeah, why would it be hanging there to sell if he doesn't really want to sell it? So who knows?
Yeah, it would have made sense to have it shoved in a corner or something, kind of like out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although it was kind of up in the back, higher than the other ones. Who knows? I don't know. It would also be interesting to know more about how the totem even got into the guitar and who had it last. Yeah, see, that's what I was talking about in my nitpick. They did not explain anything. And that left me dumbfounded. Poor Axel, though. Ray needs to put his chemicals away better. He needs to take some safety courses and Wimmis or something. Do you guys have Wimmis down there?
I don't know what that means.
Work hazard material handling safety or something like that. I can't remember. We no matter what job you get up here in Canada, you have to take training in Wimmis if there's chemicals somewhere in the building, and that could just be simply rubbing alcohol or floor cleaner. You've got to take your training.
Oh, wow.
To know.
We don't get quite that crazy with it. I mean, if there's floor cleaner present, you know, they don't give us a hazmat course.
Yeah, it's just something you have to know how to handle it. You have to know how, if someone spills it and you come across a spill, you got to know what to do with it and not just sop it up with your shirt and go home smelling like it and then pass out and die because it was a deadly chemical. So we all got to take it. Anyway, sorry for that side note. So he says, "It is the first time seeing Mick so sad, but was a nice moment between him and Mick in the end." Yeah. Little Axel. Now that all 6 totems exist, what will happen next, I wonder? There seems to be something going on with the locked death totem, so maybe it will end up being the focus next week. Who knows? Ray still needs to fix that fire totem too. From Arcface. Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know.
I think he's working on fixing the fire totem.
He's working on it. I don't know if he's using the cold fusion thing to do it.
Yeah, there's a line drop in the episode when he asks Mick for the walnuts. He kind of goes on for a minute about, well, Nora thought it was crazy to use cold fusion to fix the fire totem, but that's what he's doing.
Right, good point.
So he's working on it.
Cool. Well, thanks, Arcphase. Next up, we've got a voicemail from Green Butterfly.
Hi, Flash and Harley. Why is Legend so creepy? Man, we started dealing with totems. Constantine stopped by, and suddenly, creepy all the time. I really love the way that this week's Legends integrated a piece of real history that maybe everyone doesn't know. That Elvis had a brother named Jesse. It's a true fact, and I was happy to see it in the episode. I'm also really enjoying the evolution of Mick. I love that they're continuing to humanize this character. He was a bad guy back on The Flash, but he's becoming more and more lovable as he continues to be an integral part of our Legends team. I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to scare Flash away. I know he hates trailers, so I'll just say this. I was slightly creeped out this week, way more scared for next week. This episode gets 8 out of 10 Sammys for my friends.
Oh.
Rest in peace, Axel, Josh Groban. That was so adorable. They had a memoriam for the rat. Memoriam. So cute. Have a super week. Green Butterfly out.
Aw. Well, thanks for biting your tongue there, Green Butterfly, but now you guys are getting my hopes up here for what's coming next week. Oh, trust in the writers, trust in the writers. But
that's all you gotta do.
I like that she is really growing fond of Mick. I think everybody is there. And she's right. They're really humanizing him and really giving him some depth to, as much as a character like Mick you can have, but we're seeing him really go through some transitional phases. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know. It is. It is.
Awesome. Well, our last bit of feedback for this week is an email from Karina Lucas. You can take that one.
All right. She says, hey guys, this one's going to be a short feedback for real. I didn't like the episode so much. It wasn't Bebo bad, but it looked like a filler, which is odd because the season is a few weeks from ending. Well, 4 weeks, but.
She agrees with me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, filler setup. Yeah. Yep. I agree. The only interesting thing was that the 6th totem was found. Although the booster gold theory that Flash posted on the Facebook group is interesting and it actually makes sense. I still stand by my theory about Sarah, Ava, and the totem, but I guess we won't have to wait much longer to find out how Mollis will be defeated.
I'm glad that she likes my theories. I was hoping some people would chime in about that, the stuff that I posted about Ava possibly being Booster Gold or his twin sister Gold Star, which would make her the aunt to Rip.
This is very fascinating. I am sticking with my crazy crackpot theory until it is disproven, which will probably be before the end of the season.
Well, right now I'm 1 for 1. I was totally wrong about the death totem, but I was right about Ava and Sarah, so I'm 1 for 1.
That is true. All right. Well, we'll see if any of my craziness comes true. All right. So she continues. Well, I guess she ends, really. She says, is Mick the comic relief now? I don't like him being misused like this. And I give this episode 7 sweet children of mine. Hashtag rest in peace, Axel. Talk to you soon, Karina.
Yeah, I don't know. Is Mick being used as just comic relief? I guess a lot of the episodes he hasn't had a huge role in, and they've just kind of used him for the fun stuff, but I don't know. Every once in a while he gets some growth and some depth, and I kind of thought this one was a little bit.
A little bit. I didn't feel like they were totally misusing the character. I think maybe she might be referring into at the beginning where he's like, why is everything changing? And I don't like change, and just like running around trying to find the rat and that sort of thing. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe she just didn't like that so much, which, I did kind of find it amusing, but that's really all he was doing the entire episode. But the Dread Pirate episode, the Curse of the Earth Totem, he had a lot of good stuff in that particular episode, I thought. He connected with all the characters. He was almost the voice of reason. That was a really good episode for him, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess they just got to find. Depends on the story. They got to find things for him to do and a way for him to fit in. And I don't mind him being funny half the time, and then half the time we do see some growth. I mean, I love, as I've said before, I love all the crazy outfits that they always put him in, because he half the time he doesn't suit the time period they're in at all, and just looks absolutely ridiculous, and I get a good laugh out of that. And then other times, like the pirate episode, it totally suits him, and I thought, Nick's right in his element. I love it. So.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think it just depends. There's always a character every week that gets the short straw. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, guys, thank you for that feedback. Always great to hear from everybody. If you want to be part of the show, and I know there's hundreds of you out there downloading this, call us, send us email, be part of this. It's a lot of fun. We love to hear from you, and it's always cool. You'll trust me. The first time you hear your feedback read or played, You'll be hooked. Trust me on that. That's how me and Harley got into this.
It's true.
So if you want to do that, here's how I do it.
If you would like to be a part of the show, you can send in your feedback to tomorrowslegends@gmail.com. That's spelled with one R. You can also reach us on Twitter at Tomorrow's Legends, also with one R. We'd love you to join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/Tomorrow's Legends and become part of the community.
Well, that kind of does it for us, Harley.
It does.
I mean, yeah, it was an okay episode. So we got lots coming. I am excited. You guys have got me pumped up.
Yes.
4 episodes left, though. What's going to happen? They got to get the totems all together. It's 4-1 on the scoreboard right now. Something really bad has to happen, I think, before we get to the finale. That's my prediction.
I think you're on to something.
I don't know. That's just my feeling. And I don't know if that's next week based on what Green Butterfly said. Who knows? But
Who knows?
I have this feeling we can't have the team up 4-1 and it's going to be an easy victory. Something bad's going to happen. And we're going to be down and out. And it's going to take the last couple episodes to figure our way through it and have the big comeback in the finale. So we'll see. And of course, they'll leave us with a cliffhanger for next season that we all have to die waiting all summer long for. But
that sounds about right.
Yeah. So I can't wait, guys. We'll talk to you in a week. This is The Flash signing off.
And this is Harley Quinn. I'm out.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network. Find our show in Apple Podcasts, where you can leave a rating and review. We'd love that. You can also find us on Google Play Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and Stitcher. Please share the show, and thanks for listening.